Hello, welcome to CH Booth Library's Book Chat. I'm Anne, and I'm here with Julie and our new young adult librarian, Darcy Sowers. Welcome, Darcy. We're so happy to have you join us at the library and for today's book chat. So we all have some recent books that we are enjoying or have enjoyed, and we're going to start today with Darcy.
Well, I am currently reading Battle Source Rampage at Waterloo, which is by Brian Faulkner, and I'm about two-thirds of the way through at this point. And this is what would happen if Napoleon had gotten a hold of dinosaurs and was using them to just tear through Europe. And it started out a little slow, but what it is the main character, Willem, his father had the ability to kind of mesmerize dinosaurs. And in their part of Europe, they only have little ones, kind of like raptor-sized ones. And Willem actually managed to inherit that ability. Thing is, his father, Napoleon, wanted that ability and his father refused. So his father disappeared. And a dinosaur started to attack their village, and they went looking for it, thinking, oh, it's one of the little raptors. We can handle this. And they find out that it's not our little raptor. It is a giant Tyrannosaurus, which they don't have in Europe. Whole of the American continent, North and South America, have been found by Christopher Columbus, and no one returned except for a couple of people on one of the ships. And other ships went over and no one returned from them. So the whole of the United States, South America, Central America has been declared as do not go there because they are massive dinosaurs. But now all of a sudden they find a giant T-Rex attacking their village. They take the T-Rex down and they realize that there is leather around the neck of the T-Rex and around under the arms. And they look closer and they realize it's the blue that Napoleon's army uses, and it has the crest of Napoleon on it. So now they're trying to figure out how can Napoleon possibly have these dinosaurs and how is he controlling them? So that's where I'm at right now. So I want to find out how this is going to end because I need to know. I mean, is Willem's dad still alive? I mean, does Napoleon have him somewhere and that's how he's controlling these massive dinosaurs? And how do you even get these over here? I mean, how would you put a dinosaur in an 18th century boat and float it over? I don't understand, but I want to find out. So that's where I'm currently at right now with this one, which is pretty interesting. And it's a young adult juniors read, so it's kind of for younger readers, but it's pretty good. So that's what I'm reading right now.
Okay, that sounds great. The book that I recently finished that I really enjoyed is called Memorial Drive by Natasha Trethewey. This is a memoir, and when the author was 19, her mother was murdered by her former stepfather. This is right in the first sentence of the book, so it's not a spoiler. But then Trethewey goes back to talk about her extended family, her childhood growing up in the segregated South. She was born in 1966, so, and the child of a white father and a Black mother. They met at college and married young, and they split up when she was around 6. So her and her mother moved to a new city. It's Atlanta, where that takes place, her childhood. And Trethewey's mother meets the man who she will marry, then divorce because of his abuse. And this is the man who eventually kills her. Now, because of the author was so young when all this happened, the memoir is told a bit like a detective story. She's trying to figure out, what happened, why did, people act like this, really just recapture her memories of her mother. And it is a really beautifully written and heartbreaking story. Natasha Trethewey is a Pulitzer Prize winning poet, and you can really tell with the language in this book, just the stunning writing, and tells a really, really sad story. But if you're a fan of memoirs and family stories, then I highly recommend this, called Memorial Drive. Julie?
Sure. I just recently finished The Sanatorium by Sarah Pierce. and just take a look at the cover. I really love it. Drew me in right away. Well, first of all, the sanatorium just sounds creepy, but then the picture of the old
Yeah.
abandoned sanatorium in the Swiss Alps and the winter setting, it just is a great backdrop for the story. So that's what drew me in. I actually listened to the book on Libby, so I can't say it was a page turner as such, but I kept wanting to go back for more. I would say it's like part thriller and part locked room mystery. The main character is Ellen Warner. She's a police detective, but because of a traumatic case that she was recently involved in, she's taking time off. She's taking a leave of absence and kind of questioning if she's going back or if she'll retire from that position. So as I mentioned, the setting for the book it's called La Summit. It's the abandoned sanatorium for tuberculosis patients. And it's been abandoned for years. It's in the Swiss Alps, but it's been turned into a hotel, like a 5-star hotel, minimalist. So it pulls in some of the history of the sanatorium into the rooms, but other than that, it's pretty bare. Let's see, the area in the Swiss Alps is also even creepier. It's remote. You can only get there by this long road and a funicular. So when they start the story, Ellen and her boyfriend are arriving at this hotel because Ellen's estranged brother has just recently gotten engaged and invited them to celebrate their engagement. So she's kind of looking at it as a way to get away from the stress of her job that she's taking a leave from, and clear her mind, and to also reconnect with her brother. But they arrive and there's an impending storm. And so even creepier, possible avalanche. And that's the part of the locked room mystery. So at some point, people start disappearing, there's some murders, and in the midst of all that, they're cut off from help. So Ellen, being a detective, even though she's on leave, is being pulled to investigate what's going on. And so thus the mystery, it's all, there's some twists and turns, but it keeps you wanting more. And I would say there's a lot going on in the book, a lot of relationships, a lot of history. But in the end, I think that's what I really liked about it, because it wasn't predictable. There were a lot of things that I wanted to see how it unraveled and how it all got resolved. So I think if you like suspense or thriller or locked room kind of mysteries, you'll really like this book. And it's one that I would say is fast paced and a fast read for me.
Okay. Great. Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
I did have another book. I also like to read graphic novels, so I have Poison Ivy Thorns. Came out fairly recently. It's written by Cody Keplinger. She wrote The Duff, and illustrated by Sarah Kippen. And it's a retelling of the origin story of Pamela Isley, who becomes Poison Ivy in the Batman comics. And this one, she's a teenager, and her mother is away on a trip in the rainforest to learn about exotic plants. But the thing is, there's something weird going on in the house with her and her dad. Something's going on in the basement, and there's strange sounds coming from the attic at night. Well, Pamela doesn't have any control of plants at this point. She's very brilliant, and her dad's a physician, and she helps him out with his experiments now and then. And they've decided that the town is going to destroy the only park in town, and Pamela doesn't agree with this. So she uses some of her dad's chemicals to poison part of the park, so that it's good for the plants, but humans can't be near it. And because of this, her best friend has to move in partial of the time with Pamela because her house is too close to the park and her family have had to move into a hotel. This causes problems because the friend wants to find out what the strange noises are and what's going on in the basement. And at the same time, Pamela is starting to realize that the plants are starting to respond to her emotions. So it's got an interesting mystery going on there. And it's a bit of also a kind of romantic love story as well. And it was it's very quick read. The art's actually very nice in it. So I would definitely recommend if you're interested in any of the Batman characters, especially Poison Ivy, this is a good read.
Sounds great. Okay, I have one more book to talk about too, and my second book is called A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. This is a fantasy title. It's great for fans of books with a school setting. So the education of the title takes place at Scholomance, a special school for magically gifted students. Adolescents with magical powers in the world of this book are kind of magnets for destructive forces. So they're basically locked up in this school so they can learn the skills they need to be safe out in the world after they graduate. But instead of a cozy and enchanting Hogwarts type setting, the Scholomance is downright malevolent. There's all kinds of, traps and, creepy monsters in the walls. The food is terrible. Just everything is very grim. And Galadriel, or Elle, as she likes to be called, she's somewhat of a loner and an outcast. She's the main character who finds that her path keeps crossing with her nemesis, Orion, who the other students regard as kind of the big man on campus, hero type character, and he keeps rescuing her from these situations, although she does not really need his help. She's already quite powerful. So I really enjoyed this book. It came out last year, and I mention it now because it's part of a trilogy, and the second volume is due to be published this month. So if you are interested in these types of stories about magical settings and the magic schools, it'd be a good time to read part one so that then you can dive right into the second title, which is coming out just in a couple weeks. So I would definitely recommend this book. And that is all the titles that we have for you today. I usually will post a document that has these titles on them with some links to how you can get them. And you can look for that on our website and on the YouTube page. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.